All right, guys, so here's what we're gonna need for this lesson. You need to take a sheet of paper. This is just a regular size sheet of paper, like a regular computer sheet of paper or printer paper, and you are painting on it your hue, your tint, and your shade. Remember this from last time. A hue is just our plain color. A tint is a lighter color that you make by mixing in white, and a shade is the darker color you make by mixing in black. So I have on my piece of paper, I just did 3. I just did 1 of the hue, 1 tint, and 1 shade. You can do more if you'd like, but I'm just looking for at least these 3. And we're going to use this paper on our project to make our trees. Now I use green since that is the color of our winter evergreen trees, but if you do not have green paint, you are welcome to use any color you would like, and you can always have a really colorful forest. So let's go ahead and talk about how we're gonna put these pieces together. For our background that we're going to be attaching all of our pieces to, you do need a white sheet of paper and a blue sheet of paper. It doesn't matter what color blue, it can be dark or light. If you don't have a sheet of blue paper, you can always use watercolor to paint one in blue. You can use crayons to color it, colored pencils, anything you want to just turn it into a blue. This is going to be our background of our sky, and our white is going to be our snow. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my white sheet of paper and I'm going to fold it. So I'm going to move these out of the way. Oh, and my scissors. You're going to need these for later. Make sure your paper is facing short like a landscape, not tall like a portrait. We're having a landscape mode. And we're going to do our first fold over the page like this. We're not going to go completely in half. We're going to stop a little bit short. So I'm using my finger here. I'm going to go about to the size of my finger. And I'm going to go ahead and crease it. Make sure I've creased it really tight. Then I'm going to take this top flap and I'm going to fold it back over, and I'm going to stop it short just a little bit. Same thing like I did on the other side, just like my finger space width. All right. Crease it really well. So in case you missed that, it was fold over just about in half, leave a little bit of space, and then fold back this way, leave a little bit of space. Then when you open it up, you should have 3 spots. A small spot, a little bit bigger, and then a bigger spot. And this is going to be the first part for our picture. So we're going to then open it back up, and we're going to cut. I'm going to use a pencil to show you. If you do need to use a pencil to draw this line, you can. If you could just cut it without drawing the line, that's okay too. We're going to draw a curving line that starts at the top and curves its way down. So I'm going to start not too high up, about in the middle of the paper, and I'm going to curve it down. This is the line that I need to cut along. So I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to cut out along that line. So then I will have this piece left. Folded up, it's going to look like this, and it's going to help be that part that stands out on our page. If you have any pencil lines that you can still see that you don't like, just use your eraser to get rid of them. So now I need to attach this to my background, my blue sheet of paper. I'm going to take my blue sheet of paper, and I do want it to be tall like a portrait, and I'm going to glue this down to the paper, and I'm going to glue it right to the corner. So I'm going to be matching it up corner to corner there, flat along the back edge, and then flat at the bottom. And I'm just going to use a glue stick to glue this down. Make sure you rub it really well so it is stuck to your page. And then we will have our snowy hills and our background, which is our blue paper. But we have this extra piece over here that we need to trim off. So I'm going to use my scissors. I'm going to cut along this edge here. Careful not to cut your white sheet of paper. And I'm going to cut all the way up the page. Then I'm going to trim some of this extra piece off the top. It's kind of tall right now. You might want to leave it. I'm going to make mine just a little bit shorter. So now I have the framework for my picture. I have my snowy hills and I have my blue sky. I'm going to go ahead and work on my sky first, and we're going to be using white crayons and a little bit of some blue crayons. So I'm going to take my white crayon, I'm going to use it to make some snow falling in the background. And all I'm doing for the snow is just creating these little white dots. You may also want to draw a moon or something else in the sky. You're welcome to do that. I'm going to stick with just my snow dots. And I also like to add in these swirling lines to make it look like the wind is blowing. So I'm going to do another one over here. and I'm just not pressing down super hard, and I'm repeating that line to make it just kind of a loose line. And then I also like to go back with my blue crayon on top of that to just give it a little bit more of that icy cold chill. You can do as many swirls in the sky as you want. I'm gonna stick with just those two. Then I'm gonna use my blue crayon to also add in a little bit of some shading on my snow. I'm doing this by not pressing down super hard. I'm just gonna shade a little bit here in some random spots on my snow back. Then I'm gonna go to my next flap here, start at the top, add in a little bit of some random spots, and my top flap. That way it just has a little bit more of that icy snowy look. You can also color on the insides if you want on these parts here and here, but you don't have to. Next, we are going to go ahead and draw in some details in our snow. For the details, I'm going to be using some of my markers, so I'm going to make sure I clean up as I go. I'm going to put my crayons away for right now. If I need them again later, I can come back to them. And I'm going to start off with my black marker first. And I'm gonna draw in where I'm gonna have my trees coming up out of the snow. I'm just gonna add in some of these little bumpy, wiggly lines, like the snow has been kind of pushed up where the tree is growing. So I might wanna add in some over here, a little bit on my flap on the inside, maybe even one over here. Maybe you wanna add in some details inside your snow, like you might wanna do a snowman, or some people have drawn in like the North Pole coming out of one of the little snow mounds. You can do that. I'll draw my snowman. And I also like to use my blue marker just to add in a little bit of some extra like little shadows on my little snow mounds. I did add a little bit on the side of my snowman as well. All right, and then we're ready to use our value paper to start making our trees. I'm going to go ahead and cut out some triangle shapes for my different values to use as trees. And we want to think about the size. We don't want them to be too big. We don't want them teeny tiny. You want to make sure that you're matching up the size of your trees to fit appropriately on your page. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut out some different triangle shapes like our evergreen trees from my darkest shade, my hue, and my tint. Okay, and you'll definitely have lots of extra paper left over, which is fine because you can always go back and make more of these because these would make great holiday cards you could give out to friends and family. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach these down onto my page. Wherever I have that snow mound, I need to add in the trunk, and then my tree is going to be on top of it. So I'm gonna make sure I have a little bit of a trunk started, and then we will be able to glue our tree piece onto the page. For this, you can either use liquid glue or you can use your glue stick. You could even use hot glue if you have it. It's up to you. Also, you want to make sure that any parts that are peeling up off your page, you want to make sure you put a little glue at the tops of your trees as well so they can stick. You don't want to put glue at the tops of the trees that hang off the edges because you don't want them to stick down onto the next layer below it. But any that have a flat back behind them, make sure you glue that tree all the way flat. And the number of trees that you add onto your page is absolutely up to you. You can change it up, you can add more, you could do like a whole group. Like I like my little cluster of trees right here. You might want to put some more close to each other. And then I also like to go back with my marker on top and add in some fun little designs onto my trees. You could do different patterns, different shapes. You could even just keep it simple and do like the tree outline, like maybe you want to do some little branches coming off your tree. Or like I said, you could do some patterns. I also like to use my blue marker to add in some little dots in the background on the sky as well. And I could also use this to draw in some snowflakes. If you wanted to turn these into Christmas trees, you could always maybe add lights to them or some other little fun decoration. But this is just a cute little easy holiday thing you can make. Like I said, you could use it as a card. You could write Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. You could give this to family members, to different friends. You could make more of these. You can add in more trees. Something just a little fun to have some little holiday, cheer before we go on Christmas break. So this is what we are doing with our different value papers. Like I said, you will will have a lot of different options that you can do with this. If you can come up with another cool way to do some more value trees, I would love to see it. Make sure you take a picture of this, you send it to me, and I hope you guys have a very safe holiday. If I don't get to have you before our break, make sure you're staying safe. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I will see you guys next time.